time of the week again. Sit back, relax, we got the brain of band. No need to stress in the house, it's Van Bellen. The game is windsurfing, you can't yell them or tell them. We get the news, the views, the win biz. The brand's gear tips plus the world's best quiz. Cause PWA, we're professionals without the pay. There's nothing in pole dancing that we won't chat. From tandem boards to a windsurfing cat. It's your one-stop shop for a laugh and listen. Tune in each week or you'll be doing the missing.
Oh, yes. Here we go. We got a podcast. We're going to try and keep it short this week. Last one,
are we?
an hour and a half, and it was short. So this one, we're going quick because the Aloha Classic, well, I was about to say it's just about to start, but it's already started. The waiting period for the Aloha Classic has already started. It's the final of the year. We're going to crown world champions. Paul Van Bellen, who is your money on?
The money is on, I'm going to have to say Brazinho.
Yeah.
Brazinho, what do you think?
Well, let's just set the scene first because I've got to play you this video. If you've been looking at YouTube, you probably would have already seen it. But I think when we're talking about this man, we should be playing this video because is his time now? Yes, obviously this is Ricardo Campello. But is this his time? He comes into the Aloha Classic leading. Now, when I explain this, it's you're going to realize that it actually doesn't mean anything because the only problem for Ricardo is if Marsilio Browne wins in Maui, he will take the title. If he wins, he's guaranteed to take the title. If Browne wins, he takes the title. Now, you can remember, Browne took a while before he won in the Aloha Classic, but now he's already had his first win. The pressure's off. He looks frigging good. But this guy, I have a feeling it's his year. He's knocking on a bit now. What is he, 37? He's got to win it soon. He's never won a world title in waves. He's won, obviously, freestyle once. He's never won a world title. I like his style. What do you think of his style?
Oh, well, of course it's sick. But I think the thing with Ricardo is you kind of want to see him win because he's been such a big part of wave windsurfing and freestyle for so long that you feel like you want him to win. The big question mark for me is the forecast. You know, it's small. We've got smaller waves, lighter winds, so it's going to throw open the field a bit. I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, is Ricardo good in that sort of conditions? Or
the thing is, and this is again, a lot of the stuff we're going to talk about today is obviously my perspective on it, and people have different perspectives. It's just how it is. I love his style. I think it's super radical. He pushes so hard in the bottom turn and he just grinds it out off the top. And what I've noticed, again, this is just what I've noticed, I feel if it's a bit bumpy, Hookipa, it doesn't suit him so well. He can't push as hard off the bottom. If it's nice conditions where he can really push, I think his style just looks insane. And the guy goes crazy. What we've seen, though, in past Hookipas is the lighter stuff. So let's say the lighter wind stuff. We've seen lighter guys up there. So we've seen maybe guys that are not in for a world title, but Camille Juban, Bernd Rodiger has won it a couple of times. You know, there's going to be other wild cards in there. And the biggest problem is, though, although he's done well on the tour this year, this event has to count. So if you don't know, we've been to Japan, obviously Pozo, where have we got? My brain's gone. We had Silt, which obviously didn't really count. Fiji. So we've had some big events, but this event will count. So if you finish last at this event, that result will count. So you could have a disaster in Maui and it could all be down the tube, which is scary, very, very scary. And as I said, so there is some different connotations of how it could work. If Ricardo wins, he wins the world title. If Marsilio Browne wins, he wins the world title. We've also got to throw in Marc Paré, who we're going to talk about in a bit. And Antoine Martin has an outside chance. Now, Antoine Martin has won the Aloha Classic before, I think. Again, light wind sailor. Those light winds, they're able to catch more waves. They've got some tricks. You know, there is so many upset wildcard people in this competition. Levi Siver's going to be in the competition. You know, all of these guys, in theory, could get knocked out early when you look at Hookipa.
Yeah. Well, I've got the PWA website up here, Benny. So if you want, I can just quickly run through the race connotations for the men's. I mean, you've basically summarized it, but if Ricardo wins the event, well, he wins the world title. So that's pretty clear. If he finishes second and Brasinho wins, then Brasinho wins the world title. If Campello comes third and Browne still needs to win the event to deny Campello. So basically, if Campello comes third but Browne comes second, it's my understanding Ricardo wins. Yeah.
Yeah.
If Campello was to finish fourth, Browne needs to finish second or better. While beating Pare. Just
so yeah. So when does Mark Pare come into this?
Okay, so Pare, where does he come into it? If Campello were to finish seventh, Browne would need to finish fourth to overtake Campello. However, a top two finish or better for Pare would see him steal the world title. So Campello basically has to finish seventh or worse, and Browne needs to finish fourth or worse, but then Pare has to be in the top two. So as far as I can tell,
it needs a few things to work out. So obviously you can already see there's lots of different maths coming on. We're going to talk about the women in a bit, but just at the moment, we talk about the men, because you might think, wow, Ricardo's not going to finish seventh or whatever. But then when you add these wild cards in, I just want to make sure I don't forget any names. So I'm just going to have a look down the list. You know, I've got a list of the people who are entering. So let's just go through a few of the names just to give you an idea. Ricardo Campello, obviously, Marsilio Browne, Mark Pare. Then we've got Antoine Martin, a super outside chance for a world title, but he could upset some of these guys in earlier rounds. Robbie Swift, obviously lives on Maui. Man, the guy's got all the moves. On his day, he can take down big names. Leon Jammer has proved it before in Hookipa. We've got Antoine Albert, you know, better known maybe for his freestyle, but his wave riding is on point. Morgan Nero, have you seen this guy? In fact, maybe I should maybe play a little Instagram video from Morgan Nero, because Morgan Nero, I think, has won back-to-back lower titles, or at least he's won two, which is almost unprecedented. I think Josh Angulo's done it before. Bernd Rodiger's done it, but not quite. He did it in a IWT lower classic when it wasn't a full PWA, so I'm not sure how that counts in the whole realm of things, but still a real interesting one. Morgan Nero, and if you've seen any of his stuff recently, I'm just going to pull up his Instagram just to get you a few of the videos.
And for anyone who doesn't know, he's a three-time winner, 2014, 2015, and 2017. So he's won it a few times.
Well, I'm actually I was just scrolling through my Instagram bits, and I was just coming across Browne at Jaws the other day. Did you see that?
Oh yeah, that was amazing, wasn't it?
I made the video for Send It Sunday, and I didn't realize what he had done at Jaws until I was going through the video afterwards. Yeah. So
no, it's so sick, isn't it? He's doing the lines on the wave that you sort of dreamt of that could be done. You know, he's actually making it happen. It's pretty sick. Got here a comment, Q Lesh 77. I like Ricardo and think he deserves to win, but if the conditions are light and he won't be first, it seems he is not the best for the title. The best one should win in any conditions. Yeah, okay.
I mean, this is
geez, they had good waves, didn't they? It is a slight shame. Obviously, they had a good swell just a few days ago, and that's dropped right off. So it's going to be interesting how they handle the smaller waves now. He's so smooth, Morgan, isn't he? It's yeah, he's really good.
He is insane. I mean, I put the 360s on Send It Sunday, but from what I saw, you check this 360 out. This is like flawless. You know, He
So
can
who
knock,
do
he
you
can knock out anyone. I'm like I said, he's won this event before, so it's not a real shock that I say that. But
Yeah, it's sick, isn't it? So good.
insane. Pretty insane. So yeah,
Maria,
and then you've got like Marino Gill, obviously probably not going to be, you know, the one that's going to fear the top guys, but you never know. He's obviously a better, more pozo sailor, trying to find his feet in Hookipa. Bernd Rodiger, you know, Takara Ishii, Victor Fernandez, you know, Jules, Federico, Liam, you know, Shetaway. You know, there's Adam Varchal who's been over there, Graham Ezzy, Hayata Ishii, Thomas Traversa. When you look at those names and you go down, Kami Juban, Kai Lenny. Kai Lenny. You know, Kai Lenny's in it. Levi Saiva, Bouge.
yeah. No, it's big names. Wow. It's pretty heavy, isn't it? It's heavy. It's going to be. It's really interesting to see how it's going to go down. Yeah, and just to see, you know, to see the comp between Ricardo and Brazinho and Mark Pare, it's actually pretty exciting. It's going to be good. It's going to be good to watch.
Yeah, but like I said, a few people mentioned it earlier about maybe it's, you know, being light won't help him. We've seen Browne struggle when it's super light because he isn't one of the lightest out there. You know, when you've got people like Bernd Rodiger, you know, Antoine Martin, what are these guys? They're lower than 70 kilos. So there's a big advantage. If you're 85 plus, the type of equipment you end up using, we saw it with Costa in Cape Verde. You just couldn't get upwind to get as many waves. So then you're already at a disadvantage. So let's just go over a few other things as well, because it's a 10-day waiting period. We're already done 1 day. From what I saw, they've had a Kona Lanes day already.
They had a day, but they didn't run any comp today. So
No.
Duncan Coombs, head judge, decided not to go ahead. From what I can gather, the comp's probably not going to start until, well, was it, you know, in probably 4 or 5 days' time, something like that.
Did you see this?
I did actually. Yeah.
Did you see the smile on Kai Lenny's face?
It's sick, isn't it? Look at Robbie Nash. He looks ripped.
Look at this though. Like, this is like permagrin. That guy never, I mean, why wouldn't you stop smiling? He's sponsored by nearly every man and his dog. He's living the dream. I mean, I used to not say take the mickey out of him, but he's very non-English. You know, everything's like, he'd be in silt, be freezing cold, -2 degrees. He'd be bleeding, his leg be hanging off. He's like, oh my God, I'm having so much fun. And I would be the kind of like the English, oh God, look at him, he's always happy. But now I'm like, well, fair play. It's obviously worked. That is such a good picture.
So cool, isn't it? His old boss.
Exactly. And he's got pink sails. So, you know, I'm not quite sure. I wasn't sure if Robbie Nash would be happy about that. Look at that. I mean,
no, it's
pink sails. He's gone for the Robbie Nash look. And he
actually took, oh, that's sick. I haven't seen these photos.
Yeah. So this is from his warm-up day in lanes. I'm surprised they didn't go for it, at least for the trials. Although, should you be able to qualify in port tack when the actual event's on starboard tack? I don't know. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I thought that was
actually,
like a cool sequence.
Talking about Kai Lenny, we've got a few videos from the registration day. I've got one here from Kai Lenny. I'll just play it now.
Yeah.
Work it. Thank you. So I can actually do a quick thing here for Windsurfing.TV, Paul Van Bellen and Ben Prophet. How are you feeling about the Aloha Classic this year?
I'm so stoked for the Aloha Classic. I mean, one of my favorite events ever, and I'm just happy to see all my windsurfing friends from around the world here. I want to see the world champion crowned in epic conditions, so let's hope the conditions get really good, and I want to be right in the mix there, you know, hopefully go all the way to the final and really battle for it this year.
It could be your year.
Could be my year. Let's just pray for big waves and some strong wind.
And when are we going to see you going for the full world title?
Depending on how good I do this year, I might be inclined to go all the way. You never know.
Okay, good to hear. All right, thanks, man. Thank you, sir.
Did you hear that, Benny? All the way. Next year, he's going to do the full tour.
Imagine.
You heard it here first.
I tell you what, that is what we've seen with, you know, going to Fiji, going to these places. It does excite people like Kai Lenny, who maybe have gone out, you know, before it wasn't so exciting. But he likes to be the all-round waterman. We've seen him in Hookipa absolutely kill it. You know, in Cloudbreak, he's going to do some damage. It is just obviously an all-round talent, but how exciting would that be? And how good would it be for the tour if he did more events? Because he is
sick, wouldn't it?
Massive name. I had a friend who I haven't spoken to for ages message me early and go, "Oh my God, Lenny liked your video." You know, he's a surfer. Yeah. He doesn't follow me for windsurfing, but he surfs around here, and I haven't seen him for ages. And I just thought it's funny. You know, that's sort of the name he is. Like, Lenny likes your video. You've hit the big time. So
yeah,
super interesting.
It's like Lenny is as big as windsurfing is as a sport. If not bigger, actually, you know what I mean? Yeah, bigger, basically, you know what I mean? And so if he gets involved and starts throwing it on his social media, that'd be pretty good for windsurfing in general, won't it? So
I tell you,
fingers crossed. Fingers
crossed. Now, I don't know what forecast people check. You know, it's been a while since I go to Maui, but in my experience, if the wind's coming from the right direction, you can tell it's going to be pretty windy or whatever. But I always remember seeing this forecast, and it always used to be when I always looked at Maui, because you'd open Wind Guru and it'd be the first page that come up and it would just be solid 3-star lines. I'm not seeing 3-star lines on this forecast. Now, maybe I've got a different one to the one I used to. Maybe the parameters have changed, but this is what we've just had. So you can see the wind coming from the south, west, a little bit south. That's Kona winds. Tuesday, which I guessing that's the lay day they're talking about. And then the wind returns at least to the right, the better direction, the normal direction, the trades. Yeah. But realistically, we're not seeing anything decent in terms of strength till right at the end of the window. And if you look at the swell is almost better in the next days. And then
that's actually changed a little bit from what I saw just earlier.
Am I looking at the right forecast? Should I change it?
Well, it says Hookipa at the top there, but
yeah, you never know with this place. Let's go North Shore. Maybe that's better. Every windsurfer will know what I'm trying to do here. I'm just trying to find the best forecast.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, isn't it? Because obviously the swell is best in this window in the next couple of days, whether or not there's enough wind, though.
Yeah, that's a bit worrying, that, isn't it? I find that I'm like, I won't lie, I'm disappointed, because what they've just had looks like that could be the best. And I've seen all the videos, everyone's ripping, everyone's bang up for it. We've got Lenny entering, you know, there's lots of shit going on, and it's like, okay, so just someone's asking here, let me just answer this before we go anywhere else. When the action starts, the action will be starting when they have conditions. We are not in Maui. I know if you're tuning in to watch live action, sorry, that's not going to happen. This is just, we're doing a bit of a preview for the guys who don't know what's happening, basically. And we're going to try and bring it to you in a sort of condensed format, as condensed as we can do. So the action, the waiting period has started. So if they had conditions today in Maui, they would be starting. They do the trials, then they go, you know, pro men, pro women. It's 10-day holding period, and they can choose the best 5 days. It might be 12 days, but they can choose the best 5 days. In previous years, it used to be consecutive days. So once they started, they had 5 days in a row that they had to. So it was quite stressful. Now they can actually pick individual days, and they get 5 days to choose from in this waiting period, which is, I think it ends on the 3rd, as far as
it does. The third is the last day. Yep.
So the 3rd is the last day. So if you look at this forecast, it's not looking great, but that is probably enough wind. You know, that the wind is not such, it's light, but it should be enough. There's a bit of rain on the forecast there, which is not ideal, but the swell worries me a little bit. I mean, it doesn't need much in Maui, but that looks not so great. This looks at least like there's some sort of size.
And this is, again, you know, lighter winds, smaller waves. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens. You know, I think maybe some of the outside chances will be some of the Japanese guys.
Yeah, I've heard good things from those guys, from the guys that are over there. They said Hayata Ishii, Takara Ishii, obviously brothers, have been sending it. Obviously, Takuma Sugi, he's right up there in the overalls as well.
Yeah,
Japanese crew are cruising.
Those guys sail in 5 knots, so I reckon, watch them as well. Actually, just going on the chances, the race connotations from the PWA website. One other person that I didn't mention, which is it's definitely an outside chance, is Antoine Martin.
Oh yeah,
So
for
if,
sure.
so if Ricardo Campello, if he finishes 9th, I mean this is a long shot, but if Ricardo finishes 9th, Browne finishes 5th or worse, and Pare finishes 3rd or worse, and Antoine Martin wins, then Antoine Martin can actually steal the world title. It's a big long shot, but this is another one to throw in the mix.
It definitely could happen. Antoine's won before. And again, you'd probably need to be a single, and then you just need one of those death heats early round. You could end up with Siver in your heat, Bernd Rodiger in your heat. You know, 2 people go through out of 4 men. And if you've got 2 rippers at Hookipa, we've seen it before, time and time again. When it's wave riding only, things happen. Upsets happen. No matter how good you are, if you have a bad heat, you don't get the waves, you could be out. You know, these guys rip, and they've got less to lose, so they can maybe, you know, go crazy. And if it comes off, it's going to be difficult to beat. So that's interesting. Also, we got to talk about the women, because Sarah Keita kind of has one hand on the trophy. Well, or so I thought. And then you look into it and you're like, well, actually, Maui has to count, I think, in the women. Is it the same as in the men? I'm sure it is.
Well, so back to the PWA website. Sarah Keita enters the final event in the lead. Basically, Maria Andres is her closest rival. To have a shot at the title, she will need Sarah Keita to finish outside of the top 2, but win the event herself. So basically, Sarah Keita, if she comes in 3rd or worse, Maria Andres wins. Maria Andres steals the world title.
Which is not crazy to think. No. You know, Maria's a good sailor. Like she can handle. She spent a lot of time in Hookipa. But the problem is, Sarah Keita, I think the last Aloha Classic we had, she won. As for the one she did, I'm pretty sure in 19 maybe when she was there last, but pretty sure she won it. So she's quite handy in Hookipa. If it's light, maybe that might change things, because you've also got local wild cards. Well, not so much local, not wild cards, because you've got Sarah Hauser. You know, I've seen some video of her recently, and she was absolutely ripping. You know, getting airs, and we haven't seen so many airs from the women in the past. But it's definitely becoming a more common thing that we like to see. You know, Lena Erpenstein might be a super outside chance, but she's pretty hard charging. I just want to go down the list. Who else have we got in the women's fleet? We've got actually, I should really mention a few people that are out as well, but I'll come on to that in a minute. Yeah, Maria Andres, Sarah Hauser, Jane Seaman, obviously better known for her port tack, but she'll be able to handle it. Maureen Hunter, freshman winning Sil. Erpenstein, Schnaddy, Jessica Crisps, obviously been there before. Maria Behrens, Coco Farrow. We got Sol de Greek, obviously there once again. Going crazy. Wildcards, we got Kropas, Tatiana Howard, Junko Nagoshi. I mean, she's won in Maui so many times in the past. Again, we've had quite a few withdraw from there. So, yeah, it's interesting. Just so you know who's withdrawn from the men, obviously Philip Costa, injured at the moment. Baptiste Clarec, injured. Alessio Stilrich, I think he's decided not to go. Alex Granguillot, Miguel Chapuis, we've just seen him in Tyree, so he decided not to go to Maui and go to Tyree, which turned out, I think, a good choice. And Flo Young is not over there. So, yeah. And then on the women's side, Pauline Katz, injured. I think when she got to Maui straight away, pretty much got injured. Sato, not sure. Dida Moreno, she's not doing the whole tour. Alexia Kiefer, I think probably just decided not to go. And Ibaya Moreno, not there. Yeah,
okay. Well, talking about the women, I've got a few clips from them as well. I'll start with Sarah Keita, since she's the one that has everything to lose here.
World again coming into the Aloha Classic final. How do you feel?
I'm super excited to be back in Maui. I haven't competed here since 2019. It's an amazing place to finish the end of the year, and it's going to be super exciting. So I'm looking forward to be on the water with everyone.
Well, we didn't get a hell of a lot from her, but she obviously looks pretty relaxed, as she usually is. So she's definitely the hot favorite, isn't she?
It's hard to bet against, but with this being the one event winner kind of take, you know, you have to count it. I think all bets are off. The more I look at that and realize, look at the forecast, small Hookipa, not super windy, you know, I would hate to be the head judge. And I have heard Duncan Coombs is in there. He hasn't done the PWA for I think, last year, but the riders wanted Duncan Coombs to be the head judge in Maui. They respect him a lot. They know, you know, he knows exactly what to be looking for and all the stuff. So the riders, by rider request, pretty much unanimously, Duncan Coombs is over there as head judge. So I think that's super interesting. But he's got a difficult job this week of when to go, when to push. Like, you know, they've had a good year. They've had some good events. Should Maui be run if it can be run, even if it's small and light? And that's the question. I think yes, but maybe other people won't be thinking that.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't have an answer on that. I'm assuming they're going to do everything they possibly can to run the event. There's just way too much on the line, too much investment.
So let's say it's subpar conditions or not as good as they've had, because, you know, should they, let's say it's head high Hookipa. Yeah.
Look, I think if it's saleable, you should just run it, because basically windsurfing is all about knee high to double mast and who can perform in those conditions. I mean, personally, I know it's not everyone wants to see mast high plus, but at the end of the day, world champs should be able to perform in all conditions. And it's better to run an event than nothing. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. What's your experience with this, Ben? I mean, do they?
I'm always biased. Like, people like, oh, here he is, Ben again. I just personally think competitions, they've got to be competable. You have to be able to see who's best. But I don't think you need perfect conditions, because windsurfing isn't perfect, you know. And I think the maybe not perfect conditions suit other riders. And again, in an ideal world, yes, we have perfect conditions everywhere, but it's not an ideal world, and you can't do that. It just doesn't work. It's like, so yes, I want to see. I'm all about the fight. You know, I'm all about seeing who turns up, even when it's not firing, who can make it happen. But you're going to get upsets, and people will be upset, because you know, you might not get the waves in your heat you wanted. There's a lot of different looks at it, but yeah, that forecast doesn't
look good. But I think they'll get something, and it might end up being head high with the odd logo high ones coming through. I don't know. I'm not so familiar with it.
Imagine the upsets that could happen in that.
Oh, exactly. But that's what makes it exciting.
Amazing. That's what we want, isn't it? If we go totally like from the outside, obviously we want epic conditions. But if you can't have epic conditions, you want some drama. You want to see these guys under the firing line. You want to watch it live, because, you know, we've seen it in surfing heats before. Sometimes it actually ends up better, you know, because there's this kind of drama. You're waiting for that wave to come in at the end, and it might only be a head high wave, but that could be the wave that gets you through. So I think to have an exciting competition, it doesn't need to be all-time classic conditions, but obviously it would help.
Yeah, I know, but it's windsurfing. They're going to have to run the event in subpar conditions. It's way too much invested in it, you know, and it's good for the sport to have these competitions happening. That's my opinion on it. I've got a comment here, John Blackwell. I like to see the riders face the conditions that the rest of us have to go out in. Yeah, I agree with it. I mean, these are the sort of conditions that most of us deal with. So how do the pros deal with it?
Yeah,
but that's good.
It's interesting. Let us know in the comments. And I know everyone says it, let us know in the comments, but genuinely let us know in the comments. Like, do you find it super interesting? I like it personally, because you see what's possible. And it tell you what, it always looks easier and better online than it is in real life. Trust me. So even when you're judging it, it's probably worse than it actually is in real life, comparatively. But I find it really interesting to see what they can do. And it amazes me sometimes, you know.
Yeah. And also it gives the different body types advantages. You know, all of a sudden, okay, now the lighter guys, they have an advantage now.
Yeah.
You know, for super strong wins, it's the other way around. So
it's
I kind of like it.
Like, if you win this year, I think it's a shame like Japan didn't happen and Silt didn't really get down to the fine. You know, like, that's a shame. It would have been definitely good for that to happen. And then we would have had a pretty epic tour in terms of variety of conditions and heaviness of wave. And I think that could have been super cool, but it is what it is. And I hope they do have the showdown, for Ricardo. How's his head? Is he going, you know what, if it's a bit subpar, he'll be saying we shouldn't be competing.
Well, he's going to be feeling the pressure. That's for sure, isn't he? Because this is arguably probably his best chance at getting a world title. He's not getting any younger. So he'll be, I imagine he'll be feeling some pressure.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, he's got a difficult one, to be fair. He can't mess up, but it is in his own hands, so to speak, and it's in Marcelo Browne's hands. If either of them win, they win the world title. So in that sense, they don't have to rely on other results going their way if they win. But winning in Hookipa is the hardest place to win. There is more chances to lose in Hookipa than any other event, I would say, because so many people have made it their home and ripped there. Like we mentioned him before, Kamiju Ban. He's not in the world title race, but he could easily win in Hookipa. He's done it before. Bernd Rodiger, again, absolute sender. Lenny is going to upset some people 100%. Levi Saiva. These are guys that maybe haven't got the world title there, but they can cause all sorts of problems. And we don't have the draw yet. That's the problem. I was hoping we'd have the draw today and we could have a look through it and go, ooh, that side of the draw is a bit loaded. But as soon as we get that, I will definitely do a talk through on the draw, because for anyone who's never done windsurfing competition before, the draw makes a massive difference. Like if you're on the wrong side of the draw, sometimes you can lull yourself into a false sense of security, like, I got the easy side. And then somebody just steps up and it's ridiculous. But it definitely, there's usually easier, and just because the way the seeding works sometimes, some sides get loaded.
But this draw is going to be hellish for the competitors, because when you read out that list of all the who's competing, they're all capable of almost winning it. It's pretty heavy.
The classic example, I've been there. You go, oh, I can't believe it. I've got him. Oh, I can't believe it. And then you're like, okay, what heat then would you want on there? And you look down the list, and you can't look at the opposite seeding. You have to look at your seeding, which you could have possibly got. Because otherwise, if you look down the list, you go, I would have had him. He's on the same side of the seeding as you. You have to look at the other side, the top 8 side. And then it's you literally like, oh, Thomas Traversa. We haven't mentioned much of him. We don't want him. Philip Costa, Victor Fernandez. You're going through the list going, okay, none of them. I don't want any of them. There's no easy heats, but there is some that you can see some light, maybe, if all the stars align. And some, there's just no light whatsoever. Costa Imposo, there's no light whatsoever. You're just like, I'm dead.
But it's also showing you the health of the windsurf scene. I mean, to have so many people at such a high level, it's a testament to where windsurfing has come from and where it is. It's pretty impressive, actually, because in the past you might only have a handful of people that you'd think, oh, they're just the ones that are getting all the attention. But now the top 20 guys, or top 10 women or whatever, but they're all capable of winning it. So that's healthy for competition. It makes it more exciting, doesn't it? Yeah, it's cool.
100%. Okay, so the plan is this week, because the Aloha Classic's on, I might try and do some daily updates. I'm not sure what Paul's schedule is this week, but it's kind of a big event. And the way the Aloha Classic happens, I'm guessing it's going to be happening through our night in Europe.
Yeah. Well, good question.
What time is it now? I should have found that out. What time is it now?
I can time in Maui, or
yeah, I guess so. Time in Maui is 3 a.m. So literally, by the time morning is in Europe, they're going to be finished with the day. So this kind of time, or the middle of the day, will be a good way to kind of update you on what has happened the previous day in Hookipa. People will be watching reruns. We can maybe go through footage and pick out some key moments depending what's happening. So that's the plan. So we're not going to do hour-long podcasts. That's the plan.
We're at 34 minutes.
Yeah. Well, I think that does it. What do you think? What else have we got to say? I think until we get the draw, I don't think we can say any more. I think we got to look at the weather forecast. We got to look at the draw, and we're going to bring it to that. Anything
Definitely.
else to say on this topic? Oh, someone just saying, Ben, who's your stand-in commentator? It will be Kai Gatchadorian is over there in Maui.
Ooh. Yep. No, well, no, Kai's he's done it before, so he'll know what to do. Actually,
Yeah.
there's a couple of special mentions, or one special mention in particular. Casey Hauser is competing, and for anyone who doesn't know, is a partner of Sarah Hauser and has been battling leukemia for quite a while, and has gone into a remission. Is that the right sort of word or term? And he's going to be competing. So that's fantastic news for Casey and everyone involved. Yeah.
I mean, that is huge. So good. I mean, anyone who knows Casey is an absolute legend. And I mean, he's been up against it like a lot of people out there. I know my missus's mom is battling with it at the moment as well. So it's pretty close to me. So I'd love to see Casey, because he's in the trials. I'd love to see him go through. And also, we've got to say the sponsors of this event is Maui Strong, which is, the community getting together, obviously after the fires in Lahaina, and doing, in support in that way. So it's a pretty big deal. So I really hope they do get some conditions and give it that sort of lift, which is what they're hoping for. Which, super good. Super.
I've actually got Casey Hauser here, just a quick little 20-second, 30-second clip. So I'll just play that.
Oh, it's a dream come true to be back for this one, Simeon, and be here to support my wife and see all our friends, and be home for my favorite event in the world and time of year. So, yeah, really lucky to be here this year. No level of gratitude for it, and hope there's some amazing conditions. So,
thanks, man.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
So no, it's a good story, that, and also to Simeon himself. I've been in pretty regular contact with him, and it's fascinating to see what it takes to stage an event like this. As you can imagine, with all the fires and everything going on in Maui, they've had other things to worry about. I thought this is also interesting to just share with everyone, to give you an appreciation of what actually really happens behind the scenes. But Simeon is at a meeting in the I guess the council chambers. And I'll just play a few seconds of this, and then I'll explain what happens.
The entire windsurfing world together, who watch it online live, and who obsess over all the details as they come out online. We have the greatest wave riders in the world coming here, and they challenge the likes of Lenny, who is a great windsurfer. And last 2 years we've run it, he's made the finals.
So I won't play the whole thing, but there's basically Simeon there at a council chamber having to sell the Aloha Classic, and also to be able to get the 5 days in amongst the 12-day competition, where they can just choose which day to run the event, because there's obviously a bit of politics involved in running an event in a surfing location as well. So hats off to Simeon for making it all happen. There's a lot of behind the scenes things that it takes to run a windsurf event. So
maybe this is not the right time for this, but Maui doesn't upset me half the time. How strong they are surfing community wise, and how against windsurfing, like just in terms of, I've heard some stuff and you're thinking, why like windsurfing is put so much money into Maui, like especially Maui, out anywhere in the world. And I do feel that they don't do the most. Maybe they are now, which is great. I think it's good. But I have heard stories before. Maybe people have changed but surfing is definitely way up here, and we are so far down here, which is upsetting, because I think so many people travel to Maui, holiday in Maui, windsurf in Maui, over the years, and so many world champions, so many windsurfers live there. They get so much exposure from windsurfing. I really feel they should be pushing us. They should be chucking money into it, but it don't work like that.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I think windsurfing has definitely gained a bit more respect in the surfing world, so to speak, but we'll see how that plays out. It's a bit political, isn't it? So, but I look forward to keeping everyone updated over the coming days with this. It's going to be super exciting, Ben, and it'll be lots to talk about, I'm sure.
Obviously, just for everyone doesn't know, live stream will be in IWT YouTube channel, as far as I know. Similar media team, or at least the main guy, Brian, is behind the live stream, and I think they've got a local crew doing it, as that's what I understand. Kai Kat Shaw, obviously doing the commentary. And like I said, we're just going to be here to bring you the sort of aftermath. At the end of the day, we'll be having a look, find out what's happened. You know, if you've got any comments you want to ask us, maybe we've got some inroads into the riders over there. We'll try and get some comments from them, some sort of behind the scenes stuff. That's the plan. That is the plan. We will see. We will definitely see how it works out, what conditions we get, especially when we get the draw on. We're going to be bringing you. So maybe I'm going to try and do an update every day. It might be a small update, might be a longer update. That's my plan. Again, I don't know Paul's plans, but hopefully he's going to be joining me for most of them, if not all of them. And we will see how it works out. So thanks for joining in. Let's see who's... Okay, before we go, in the comments right now, who is going to win in the men? Who is going to win in the women? I want to see who it is before we leave. I'd work out how to do a poll, but I don't think I can do it. I at least want to see 4 names before I sign out.
I've got a quick quiz question for you as well, Benny, before we go.
Okay.
Who was, well, for anyone out there, the Aloha Classic, it actually started in 1984, but for the first few years wasn't actually considered a pro event or a World Cup event.
Okay.
The first World Cup event was 1988. Who won the first pro Aloha Classic in 1988?
88.
Could make it multiple choice, but do you want to?
Well, no, I mean, to me, 88. There's only one man that springs to mind, which is my all-time hero. So I'm going to go for
Who's
him.
that?
I would say Angulo, Mark Angulo.
That's exactly correct. Well done.
Is it?
It is actually Mark Angulo. So
Yeah.
well done, man.
Man, I watched some videos when he did the goiter and stuff like that. I mean, that was a bit later, but you just like, the guy is insane. And we've talked about it before on the podcast. When he came back, that was the craziest thing I've ever seen. And he was showing up like all the top guys, like Ricardo. He was doing clue first 360s and all that stuff. That video, I should have keyed up that video, because that's just insane to be coming back. If he come back in his mid 40s or 40s, and he went to Hookipa and he's doing those mutants and clue first, and you're just like, how have you just come back and now like really challenging the top wave sailors of the time?
So sick,
I
isn't
thought
it?
that was insane.
No, it is. And the longer we go on, the sicker he actually looks. You think how ahead of his time he was. So yeah, just quick weather update. Look, the wind's looking light. There's some swell over the next few days. Will they run it? Will they not? We're not 100% sure. But the general consensus is relatively small waves, light winds. Yeah. And as far as, what do we think here? Burnt Rodiger from Oliver. We got Brasinho and Sarakita from Mario. We've got a Burnt Rodiger. Ricardo Campello. Burnt and Sarah Hauser. Burnt. Burnt's popular. He's good in the small stuff and the light wind. He's actually very good in light winds.
He is definitely got a chance. There's a few riders who've got chances. I think it will depend on the conditions, but I think he's definitely an interesting one. He can compete. That's the crazy thing.
Campello, Sarakita. Well, if those two win, they'll be world champs. So, yep. Oh, well, that's it. So, thanks everyone for tuning in, and we will look forward to spending more time with you as the competition goes on.
All right, man.
Great. See you guys.
It's that time of the week again. Sit back, relax, we got the brain of band. No need to stress in the house, it's Van Bellen. The game is windsurfing, you can't yell them or tell them. We get the news, the views, the win biz. The brand's gear tips plus the world's best quiz. Carbs, PWA. We're professionals without the pay. There's nothing in pole dancing that we won't chat. From tandem boards or a windsurfing cat. It's your one-stop shop for a laugh and listen. Tune in each week or you'll be doing the missing.